Have you ever wondered why Wizards of the Coast make some of the decisions they make? Well, let's pull back that curtain and take a look. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here. If you're new to my channel and you've just found me in the nacho cheese universe of YouTube, well, thanks a lot for checking out my content today. Hope you guys had a blast while you were here. Hope you learned something and enjoyed yourself. And of course, if that's the case, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Join in the channel's fun. It is free to do. Doesn't cost anything to hit the subscribe button. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any of my content as I do upload daily. And put those comments in the comment section so we can carry this conversation on each and every day. Looking forward to seeing you guys there. So, serious conversation, pulling back the curtain. I've had a lot of luck when I've done my Magic the Gathering finance stuff, non-finance, purely entertainment purposes only. Didn't graduate Magic University, can't help you guys. But I look at it and say, I've gotten pretty lucky with a lot of the cards I've done. I seem to have known when to buy things. Can you predict what Wizards is going to do? No, not entirely. But you can look at certain cards and other cards they have printed and get a good indication of what can happen. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but it's done pretty well for me. I'm going to give you guys an example today. So you can use that example when you're going forward and looking at cards you like and wondering if those cards have a future. So let's go ahead here. Let's start out with the fact we're talking about some reserve list cards to start off. We're going to go with the Moxes today. Now you see there are the 5 original Moxen. They came in Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, and a Collector and International editions. And then they were done. They were on the reserve list. They're never coming back. You can have them in digital format, I guess, MTG and stuff like that. But this is all, whatever is out there is what's going to be. And Wizards said to themselves, probably after the first, 1994-95, how can we fix this? How can we make it better? What can we do? Well, we need to fix this. So how are they going to fix it? Well, they're going to call in the R&D people. Guys, we need some ideas. They're going to call in some marketing guys. What do you guys think? Let's get a focus group on this. They're going to call in some artists. We need some sketches, some drawings. We need some lore guys, some story writers in here to hook this all together. We need to make some money off these cards or future versions of cards like this. Wizards of the Coast understood early on that because these cards were so awesome, that they needed to duplicate them in different ways. They needed to branch out from these core ideas to just entrance the player base, to make them want to get the new versions. So when the reserve list came around, it wasn't such a bad thing for Wizards. Most people think, they want to reprint them. No, not really. They make so much money going around the reserve list. And when you understand that, when you come to the realization of what I think happens, is that Wizards of the Coast looks at the reserve list, they look at the cards and they say, give us some new concept ideas based on these 10 cards on the reserve list. Give us some concept ideas based around these 20 or 30 cards on the reserve list. And they send the R&D people out there to just have some fun. Create. Get the creative juices flowing. Give us some crazy mechanics. Because anything that even resembles these cards and kind of comes back to that nostalgic level with some possible give and take with the card for players to play with, makes it pretty exciting. So when they came around, they gave us, remember this one? Remember the Golden Boy? That's right, we're talking Mox Diamond. When you look at this, it's on the reserve list now. Okay, I get it. It is a reserve list card. But in 2013, this card was $35. In 2016, it was $83.50. In 2018, just 2 years later, this thing is now $270. And as of 2022, this card is $670 US. Wizards knew they were onto something. It wasn't as good as a regular Mox. You had to have a negative drawback to the card. But people loved it. The player base thought, it's a Mox! And hey, this was on the reserve list. So it just shows you how powerful this card is. So going on that vein, think about all the cards. Think about the time-walking cards we've covered. Think about turn-taking cards. Or, how about this? Think about cards like Wheel of Fortune that have different types of wheeling. Think about cards that let you reshuffle your graveyard library and draw 7 cards like Time Twister. Wizards has a pattern just like the Matrix if you know where to look for it. So when you look at the next card they're doing, They said, hey, that's right, bang the mic today, guys. They go, here is Chrome Mox, a non-reserve list card. Well, in 2013, this thing was 13 bucks. In 2016, it was 16 bucks. Barely changed in a 3-year period. 2018, it was 20 bucks. And you see here in 2022 where it's $80. Do you notice the difference there? Not nearly as expensive, right? Because it's reprintable. But they've also bumped that thing up to like mythic level. They've made it harder to get, and they only put those kind of cards now in specialty sets, which means technically they're making sure they have value. And although most people will agree Wizards does look at the secondary market unofficially to see which cards to put into which box sets and collector boxes and draft boxes, you see where I'm going with this? Wizards has a plan. They know what they're doing. And if you know where to look, you can catch on to that boat before everybody else and have a good idea. So when they go to the next one here, we said here was a beautiful Mox Opal. Now I remember buying 4 of these. I was so proud of myself. I bought 4 when it came out. Awesome. And in 2013, this was $25 US. In 2016, it was $45. In 2018, this thing was $88. But look what happened in 2020. Poor card got banned in Modern. Dropped the price right down. Down to 55 bucks. Now, do you think that's actually going to stop Mox Opal? Will that really slow the card down that much? It does put a little bit of a damper on it, but it's still used in the biggest format, which is Commander. And because it's still available in Commander, it will continue to rise. And all Wizards will do is just make sure they don't print it for a few years to preserve that value. So if you know they're going to preserve it because they don't want to lose too much money, then you know that card is actually going to rise up in value. They want it to have a certain significant level of value because it's one of those nostalgic cards. It's a Mox. And they like the idea of Moxes being worth money because that's something the player base can always attach onto. Now, how about this? This is where I come in. You see this here. Non-reserve list card, Mox Amber. 0 casting cost, legendary artifact. Add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. So to even make this thing function, you got to have a legendary planeswalker. Of course, they're legendary. Or you got to have that legendary creature out there. Okay. And you look at 2018, this thing was a low of $7.37. By the way, I found them as cheap as $5. I remember buying them online, and they're on my spreadsheet as like $5.32. I think I was buying them from Kid Icarus back then. And then you see there, 2019, they were $19. So a year later, hey, they're going up. I wonder who made those things rise. And then in 2021, hey, $25. And here we are in 2022, $36. Now, do you think that card just suddenly became good? Do you think so? Because it wasn't the best card. I bought that card by the tens, hundreds, thousand, because I had missed out on other Moxes and I love Moxes so much. So I said, I'm just going to buy a whole bunch and just put them in a binder. And people laughed. People teased. They had a good time. But I knew Wizards isn't going to let the card absolutely flop. What they'll do is they will lower the casting cost of planeswalkers. They will lower the casting cost of other legendary creatures, making this card a more viable option for where Wizards wants this card to be played. And then, yes, they will reprint this card, and I will lose value. I will. Definitely going to lose value at some point. But not from where I bought the card. Because they're not going to put this in a regular standard set, are they? They only put these in specialty sets. Which means it costs a lot more to get it. It's a lot less likely you're going to get the card. And it costs people a lot of money to even open the packs. So all those detriments means, hey, it holds its value. And that's where Wizards likes things to go. And when you understand that that's how Wizards works, I knew they would do it. I told all my friends, no, don't worry about it. It's going to go up. I have old videos, my early YouTube videos, saying this is what's going to happen. And look what happened. Look at some of the planeswalkers they've given us. Look at some of the legendary creatures coming out in the last couple of years. Crazy, right? Wizards likes to do this. Now, with the last one here, you take a look and you see Mox Tanlight. Most people see a piece of junk. They say, oh my god, this thing has Suspend 3? What are you talking about? It's got Suspend 3. Of course it's non-reserve list, but in 2019 this thing was $5. In 2020, this thing is $19.50. It like shot up. But then in 2021 it's back down to $9. And then in 2022, we're looking at like $6.87 right now. All right, you see where I'm going with this, but look what it does. It says suspend 3. That makes it really slow, unless you can find ways of getting those suspend counters off. And if you know from what they've done for Mox Amber, that they made lower casting cost guys like Ragavan that make Mox Amber pop right away, Rogoth, Son of Rogoth, where you can use the guys on turn 1. If they've done that for Mox Amber within a 4-year period, and Mox Tanlight doesn't seem enticing right now, all Wizards has to do is print an enchantment, an artifact, an instant spell that removes suspend counters in some way, right? Or a planeswalker that comes into play and lets you put a card that's in suspension directly into play. There's things they can do. They can infuse value into the market whenever they feel like it by adding simple cards like that. Because after that card is now being created and they've got some card that takes away those suspend counters or somehow gets Mox Tanlight, as the example today, into play faster, they know they have value. They know they have created and infused value into that card. And they say, okay, Mox Tanlight was $10. Let's track this for a 6-month period. Okay, this card's at $70. Perfect. Perfect, guys. Marketing guys, great job. R&D, you guys are awesome. Artists, cool stuff. All right, we got some good art. The R&D says this is good. We planned it well. This card's now a $75 card. We can now put this into double, triple flip masters. We can put this into Commander Legends 10. They can put whatever they want. But they've added that value, put it into a box that we are now going to buy. Because a lot of people didn't buy those original Mox Tanlights when they were cheap. And that's how they do it. Because I've seen it enough times now to say, yep, I don't always hit it on the head when you're trying to grab the one at the right time. But almost every card they do this, it is based off of old reserve list concept ideas. Old reserve list cards that are kind of broken. Some of those cards never can get created. They play test and they realize, even back then it was kind of broken. Take a look at this last one I want to show you guys today. When you take a look, this one was not created. This was Crystallinemox. Imagine they made this card. A 0 casting cost Crystallinemox artifact. When Crystallinemox comes into play, bury any other Crystallinemox. Okay. So that means if your opponent had one, it buries it. Cool. Tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. This card was never created, but the art by Dan Frazier was created. Look right there at the circled image there from Enlightened Tutor. That is the Crystallinemox. This is the artwork that was supposed to be for Crystallinemox. Wow. Too bad it didn't work out. But understanding that Wizards doesn't give up, and they like to mesh these powerful cards together, is something you can always keep your eye out for when new sets drop. And then you'll know which cards you want to pick up or at least hold on to a playset. Cards that seem worthless now are not always going to be worthless. Not every card, but when they're based on a Power 9 card or a top tier old reserve list card, you can almost be guaranteed something will happen at some later date to make that card valuable. When you think of Time Twister, think of Modern Horizons. They gave us Echo the Aeons with Flashback. In Strixhaven, they gave us the Biblioplex, which is based off of Arabian Nights' Library of Alexandria. Similar, but not quite as good. Because the Library of Alexandria lets you draw a card at 7. You just get to draw a free card. Just whoop, draw a card. Whereas the Biblioplex says reveal the card, and you're paying more mana, not just tapping it. You're tapping 1 colorless and 2 other. And you look for an instant or sorcery. If it's an instant or sorcery, you get to put it in your hand after you've revealed it. But if you build a deck based on instants and sorceries, which is very viable nowadays, you can mess people up. Remember that. These cards do have value even when they apparently don't at the time. Understanding how Wizards works can help you drive value to your sets later on in your collections. It gives you a little insight. Just look at the card and say, is this based on a Power 9 card of any type? One of those top tier reserve list cards? And then think about the ways it can be used. Is there any ways that could possibly come up in the future to make it a good card? Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. I had a blast. Thanks a lot for tuning in and making it to the end of the video. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Have an awesome day today because we all deserve it. Go play some Magic and have a blast. Always bring a friend to Magic. I'll see you guys soon. And of course, a giant shout out goes out to each and every one of the fantastic patrons on my channel. Thank you so much, everyone, for that continued support. And remember, guys, you can use my TCG Player affiliate link found in the description of all my videos if you're going to be buying some cards. It helps support the channel as well. Have a great one. Well, here we are at the end. You made it this far. You can put a boomstick in the comments section because you are the ones who make it to the very end. You're the ones who do that little bit extra to help the channel go, and I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I really do. So let's end this off with saying this is the card going into that section. That's right. That's the card going in. It's going in. It's important. We got to put that in there because that's the way it's got to be. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I'll see you next Sunday, of course, for the next live stream when we're all kicking it to see who wins the grand prize. Right? Because it's going to be fun. Got to see who's going to win. Pull out that wheel and just let it spin.